Ever scroll through social media and suddenly, bam, there's an ad that feels like it was tailor-made just for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about those like kind of creepy targeted ads that make you feel like your phone's listening in, although,
Right.
side note, are they?
Yeah. Who knows?
But no, I mean, those ads that like tap into something deeper.
Yeah.
Something that resonates with like your values, your aspirations, even your deepest desires, for that new pair of shoes and whatever it is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So today we're doing a deep dive into the whole world of brand loyalty
Okay.
and like uncovering how companies are using this thing called a guiding narrative to create that, that irresistible pull.
It's fascinating, right?
Yeah.
It's like they're moving beyond just trying to sell us a product. They're tapping into those stories we tell ourselves about the world.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we'll be unpacking today from the Good People Research Company's white paper, The Only Story That Matters.
The Only Story That Matters. Bold title.
Right.
But it does kind of highlight how important this whole concept is. It's like they're not just trying to sell us a product. They're trying to like become part of our own personal narrative.
Exactly. And they've laid out a really helpful framework for understanding how this works.
Okay.
And it all starts with what they call the brand loyalty continuum. Think of it like a journey
Okay.
that every consumer takes, whether they realize it or not.
Okay. So no more like levels in a video game.
Not quite.
Okay.
Although maybe there are some parallels there.
But
it all begins with simply noticing a brand. You walk past a storefront, you see a logo on a T-shirt.
Right.
Maybe you hear a jingle in a commercial. It's just on your radar.
Okay. So you're saying like just becoming aware of a brand is like the first step to becoming like a loyal customer.
It's the first step on the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I do that like 100 times a day.
Exactly. We are bombarded with brands constantly.
Right.
But the ones that make it to that next stage, what they call the defined stage,
Okay.
are the ones that begin to take on meaning for us. Maybe we try the product.
Okay.
We hear a friend rave about it, or we see a celebrity endorsement.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, we start to form an opinion, right? We
Right.
start associating the brand with certain qualities, emotions.
And this is where it gets interesting, right? Because it's rarely just about the product itself at that point.
Exactly.
Like I'm thinking about like Apple, for example.
Sure.
They're not just selling like sleek gadgets. They're selling like innovation, creativity, like a certain kind of cool factor.
Exactly. Brands become cultural symbols representing values and aspirations
Wow.
that go far beyond just their function.
Yeah.
Think about Nike.
Right.
They've successfully linked themselves with athletic achievement, determination, pushing your limits.
Right.
It's not just a swoosh on a shoe. It's like a badge of honor.
It's like those old Westerns where like the cowboy's horse was like an extension of himself.
Yes.
They're going for that level of deep personal connection.
That's excellent.
But how do they actually pull that off? Is it just clever marketing? Or is there something more at play here?
Well, that's where the concept of the guiding narrative comes in.
Okay.
The white paper argues that each of us has this internal story, this framework for understanding the world
Okay.
that shapes our values, our beliefs, and ultimately our choices.
So you're saying like we all have this internal script running on a loop
Yeah.
that's influencing our decisions even if we're not like consciously aware of it.
Precisely. It's like an internal operating system, constantly taking in information
Right.
and spitting out judgments, choices.
Wow.
Based on this set of pre-programmed beliefs. And this is where companies like Apple and Nike, they've truly cracked the code, right?
Okay.
They figured out how to tap into our existing narratives, making us feel seen, understood on a much deeper level.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this like guiding narrative thing like plays out in the real world, but
Yeah.
like how do companies actually figure out what our like, internal stories even are? Are they like hiring therapists now or?
Well, not exactly, although that might be an interesting approach.
Right.
But they're turning to a method called ethnography.
Okay.
It's essentially about like immersing yourself in a culture
Okay.
to understand the why behind people's behavior.
So like less about focus groups and surveys and more like living amongst the consumers
Yes.
in their natural habitat, like kind of like Jane Goodall with the chimps, but
Exactly. Although hopefully with less of a banana-based diet.
right.
But the thing is, traditional market research, it often misses the mark. Because people aren't always aware of what truly motivates them.
Right.
Like, if you ask someone why they bought a specific car, they might say it's for the gas mileage, but, like, deeper down.
Yeah.
It's actually because they want to minimize their environmental impact or something.
So it's about uncovering those, like, hidden motivations.
Yes.
Those underlying values that are actually driving our decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how do they take all this information
Yeah.
about our deepest desires, fears, whatever, and actually use it?
So that's where the Good People Research Company introduces this, like, fascinating tool. They call it the Coded Communication Matrix.
Okay.
And you can almost imagine it like a spreadsheet.
Okay.
But instead of numbers, it's filled with all these insights about different types of consumers.
Okay.
Each row, it represents a specific consumer group.
Got it.
And each column, it dives deeper into their unique guiding narrative.
So instead of just saying, like, soccer moms, we're talking about, like,
Yeah.
eco-conscious parents driven by a desire to protect their children's future or something.
Yeah, exactly. Or young professionals who prioritize experiences and personal growth over material possessions,
Yeah,
right?
cool.
But, like, within this matrix, each group, it's further defined by what they call their decision code.
Decision code, okay,
Yeah.
another code to crack.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
So it's basically the core value that drives their decisions
Okay,
within that particular narrative.
got it.
So for our eco-conscious parents, it might be sustainability.
Right.
Every choice they make, from the clothes they buy to the cars they drive, it's filtered through that lens.
Right, so a company like Patagonia, for example, if they want to sell to these, like, eco-conscious parents, they wouldn't just talk about, like, how durable their jackets are. They'd lead with, like, their commitment to sustainable practices and, like, fair labor and all that.
Exactly. They're speaking directly to that decision code,
Wow.
showing that they understand and they align with those values.
Okay.
But it goes even deeper than that.
Okay.
And that's where the brand symbol code comes into play.
More codes. Tell me everything.
All right, so think of it this way. The brand symbol code, it's like a visual shortcut to tap into those deep-seated values and aspirations.
Okay.
It's about understanding the metaphors and symbols that resonate with a particular narrative.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about, like, cowboys and their horses earlier?
Yes. Like a classic symbol of freedom and, self-reliance and all that.
Exactly. That's brand symbol code in action.
Okay.
It's not about the horse itself.
Right.
It's about what it represents within that cultural narrative.
So, like, a car company that's trying to reach those, like, quote unquote modern day cowboys, instead of just talking about horsepower and, miles per gallon and stuff, they might show their car, like, cruising down an open highway, kicking up dust, really selling that sense of adventure.
You got it. They're not just selling a vehicle, they're selling a feeling,
Right.
an experience. They're tapping into that deep-seated desire for freedom and connecting it to their product.
This coded communication matrix is like a secret weapon.
It's powerful stuff.
They're basically decoding our brains to figure out how to push our buttons, but, like, it sounds like it could be used for good too, right?
Absolutely. By understanding these guiding narratives, companies can create products and services that genuinely meet people's needs and aspirations.
So it's not, like, inherently manipulative or anything.
Not necessarily. It becomes a question of intention, right?
Okay.
Are they using this knowledge to add value to people's lives or simply to sell them something they don't need?
I don't know about you, but this whole coded communication matrix thing, it's like kind of blowing my mind.
It's powerful stuff.
It's like companies are becoming, like, master storytellers, right? Crafting these narratives that speak directly to, like, our deepest desires.
And that's exactly what makes it so effective, right? It goes beyond just, like, traditional marketing.
Right.
It's tapping into the very fabric of how we see ourselves
Yeah.
and the world around us.
But then, like, having this level of insight, it does make you think, like, if companies can use these guiding narratives to sell us, shoes or a car or whatever,
Right.
what's to stop them from using it to, like, influence our opinions on things
Right.
or, like, even shape our beliefs about, like, bigger issues?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's definitely something we need to be increasingly aware of as consumers. Just
Right.
because a company knows our decision code, it doesn't mean they've got our best interests at heart.
So, like, how do we even begin to, like, navigate this whole new landscape? Like, do we all need to become, like, amateur anthropologists or something?
Well, I don't think you need to go that far.
Okay, good.
But, like, A little awareness can go a long way. The next time you feel that pull towards a particular brand, just like
Yeah.
ask yourself why, you know? What is it about their story that's resonating with you?
Right.
Are they reflecting your values authentically, or are they simply just playing to your aspirations?
So it's about like taking a step back, right? Being more mindful of our own internal narratives
Yes.
and like how those narratives might be like, influencing the choices that we're making.
Exactly. It's like holding up a mirror to
Wow.
our consumerist selves,
Right.
right? By understanding the power of stories, both the ones we tell ourselves and the ones being told to us, we can start making more conscious decisions.
So like you said, a little awareness can go a long way.
Right.
Well, this has been like a truly eye-opening deep dive.
It has.
It really makes you appreciate the power of stories,
It
right?
does.
And how they shape, like literally our perception of the world around us.
Absolutely.
And how those stories can be used to create like, these really powerful connections, sometimes for better.
For better or for worse.
For better or for worse, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder to like, always be curious, question the narratives that are being sold to us, and make sure those narratives like, align with the stories that like we actually want to be living in our own lives.
Well said.
Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive into the fascinating world of brand loyalty. Until next time, happy diving, everyone.